Hey, this is DIY Art. In this channel, I will share videos about art, cinema, music, and architecture monthly. A patchwork of random ideas. In this series, I will combine my general views on art through comparisons between different disciplines of art. Spoiler alert! This video contains some spoilers from the movies Kagemusha, Zrcalo, Mirror, Citizen Kane, Full Metal Jacket. Part 1, Form follows function. To start with a disclaimer, form refers to form, function refers to content here. Well, why is 2001: A Space Odyssey not just a science fiction movie? For the same reason that Kagemusha is not a war movie, Citizen Kane is not about a businessman, and Andrei Rublev is not about an artist. Let me explain this claim through a few examples. For instance, in Kagemusha, the slow-motion deaths of the warriors or the dream sequence are not indispensable parts of a war movie. Moreover, it is one of the rare movies that can take advantage of the potential of a slowed-down movie. I believe that Zrcalo's slowed-down scenes may be the visual equivalent of this movie, in terms of impact. So, I claim that the point is the reason or emotional impact of the slowdowns. When slowdown becomes the subject itself, the movie progresses differently. So, style doesn't matter. While slowdown scenes represent a glorious decline in a war movie, they can represent a memory in the Zrcalo. And this is the very reason slowdown scenes are perceived as an indispensable style for art movies. However, the point is not the fact of using no cutting in the movie, but instead, the reason for this preference. The reason Full Metal Jacket is a good military movie has a lot to do with the fact that the movie starts in the barbershop. Half of the movie contains the training period of the soldiers. I mean, why this theme has been handled without the barber and training scenes? These are the realities of military service. You don't have to automatically tell people, butterflies are dying, no to war, in a movie. I think all people on the planet thinks that way, and still there are wars. That is a theme to explore, examine mechanisms of war. Is the expression strong, sufficient, deep, or superficial? What matters is the mechanism above all. It is a way of expression. Dealing with the grammar of language itself, not the poetry. Part 2, Examples from Music. In The Unanswered Question, Bernstein talks about 12-tone music in the fourth movement of the Ninth Symphony by Beethoven. 10 out of 12 notes are played one by one, without any chords. The 11th note played with a chord when the choir sings, Brothers. So chord make harmony, just like a brotherhood. When consuming works of art, I think, we should not act only on our feelings. The point should be the competence of an artwork in expressing its message, rather than whether it appeals to us or not. For example, if Beethoven makes aggressive music, instead of saying, I don't like aggressive music, we should say, it does not appeal to me. However, he could express aggressiveness well. Beethoven's talent is hidden in his stylistic decisions, not in his aggressiveness. If we search for works to hit us immediately, we can discover some other contemporary musicians to appeal to us more than him. Let me give you another musical example, thanks to Adam Neely. Please pay attention here.
I love you.
There is a long distance between the notes when saying, I love and you. Why? Because it's hard to say I love you. Now, this may sound like a nuance that only the singer can understand. But, the difficulty of saying I love you is expressed in musical language, and this is the most critical point for me. I think the point here is the ability to create the idea of expressing an emotion through some alterations in the music, and this creativity should be blessed. From this point of view, even if the song is not good, it does not matter. Part 3, Function follows form. Form is not the point. I think, identifying the one-point perspective as Kubrick style is a wrong point of view. For me, the clearest line that separates Kubrick from Gaspar Noé, Trier, and Wes Anderson is the fact that Kubrick's style reminds the early directors of the movie industry. All these directors use cinematography as a style, but early directors used the style as a suitable expression. However, Trier is in a different league in this discussion. He ultimately establishes this preference through a concern for reality. But still I think, his movies including both shaky and still takes, such as Antichrist, are more interesting. Some too long and uncut shots are highly appreciated, as found so hard to achieve. However, art is not an acrobatics. So, what makes an artwork precious is its necessity, rather than its difficulty. First 20 minutes of Orson Welles' Touch of Evil shows us that a long take is not so important for a movie. The first scene of the movie is a full long take. However, the latter scenes are not. Maybe 10% of the movie is in a long take. In A Clockwork Orange, after the treatment, the main character, Alex, gets beaten and then goes home. In these scenes, the camera shakes like a handheld camera to reflect the physical situation of the character. And nobody identifies this scene as Trier's style. I think this is exactly why the one-point perspective scenes of Kubrick are so memorable. It's so necessary that it sticks in your head. In other words, camera movements matter when used to fill some gaps in the narrative. Part 4, Fact Check, Perfection and Titanic. Function is not the point. Neil deGrasse Tyson criticized James Cameron, the director of Titanic, saying the sky at which Rose stares is not supposed to be like that on that day of the year. In my opinion, art does not require such things to progress towards scientific accuracy. Normally, you may prefer to detect such a scientific consistency in the sky while watching Titanic and enjoy it. But, for me, it would not be so wonderful or meaningful. Because the story itself has nothing to do with this scientific fact. But, if the director makes another reference to this fact within the story, then puts another complexion. Let's imagine a scene. Rose is on the sea and looking at the sky. As the audience, we can see and understand all the details of the arrangement and position of the stars. Then comes a completely different story. On the television in the living room of the family, a news reporter announces that the Titanic sank. The child is looking at the sky and then, we notice that the arrangement and position of the stars are the same as Rose's sky. In this scenario, we can connect these scenes through the same arrangement of the stars and deduce that Rose should be in the Titanic that day. So, if we are prone to seek scientific facts serving as a justification for some scenes, this justification should also contribute to and support the plot. Another example, let's say the arrangement of the stars is not to be expected on that day but on July 4th. Then, we may infer that the sinking of the Titanic refers to the day of the liberation of America from Britain. Thus, this deduction would add another layer to the Titanic accident and deepen the story. Otherwise, what would it matter that one can do as many fact checks as one wants in such a romantic movie? This cannot be the only missing part of portraying life well. For example, Kubrick is successful in using these factors in his movies. In the 2001, A Space Odyssey, for example, one spacecraft is designed to function both in atmosphere and in space, so its shape looks more like a plane. But the others have very different, spherical shapes because aerodynamics doesn't matter in space. But this issue is the story itself. It is not only an accuracy. The entire movie is based on circles. Spacecraft is turning, floor is circular etc. Because there is no gravity in space. Like a baby in space, the crew learns every behavior from scratch because of this. So all of these serves to the plot. In Shining, for example, the complex construction of the hotel, obvious continuity errors and the fact that scenes of the movie shot in chronological order, etc. are the narrative style of the movie, the element itself. In a nutshell, since a movie is a collage, pieces may be taken randomly from completely different places, like in a patchwork, and if their accuracy is invalid in the story, they may not be used. What if there were a million truths in the Twilight movies? The message of the movie is obvious enough. Part 5, Main Idea, Balance. I don't have much to say about the final. I just wanted to emphasize the necessity of balance in terms of both form and content. This format contains such randomly arranged examples. I would be pleased to hear your ideas and suggestions for the next videos in the comments. So this is it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and click the bell icon to get video updates. I have been also making games and art, so please also consider subscribing or donating to my Patreon page. Thank you for now, bye.